So these are just some quick ideas I have to make banking just more accessible to more people and better. Well, the first idea I have is an auto bill sign off feature. And this means that to stop you from getting into trouble and stuff with stuff, you get notifications to say that, hey, your subscription's coming up. Do you want to pay your bill? And this can be done to two things. And you can also do this for recurring payments and make up like your own subscription service. But every time you have to hit yes or no in some way. And there's a feature that tells you that. This gives mid-level security. I want to point out that there's still it's like the classical auto bill. Someone can still trick it and push the auto bill sign off on this for you, hack it, but then they have to hack that. And you've already given some approval to the auto bill, like a normal auto bill thing. This has a couple of advantages and disadvantages. One is you've already gotten rid of subscriptions and stuff that might have hidden fees and might be in your background, which a disabled person or person that's overwhelmed may not see and might not know. So you can get off these subscription stuff. But making it easier to get off and knowing that security, you can also schedule more of your life with these auto bill features. And by scheduling more of your life with these auto bill features, you also allow for your life to more likely to pay bills on time and in general do stuff on time, or might remind you that you have a bill due. It says $500, but really you have to pay $400, but still reminds you that you have to pay that bill. So you just say no and then hit somewhere else. You could also set it up even that the different ways of paying it have different levels of difficulties. And by having different levels of difficulties, so maybe sometimes you just have to hit yes or no. Sometimes you have to hit a couple steps. And if you adjust it that way, that the bills you have to pay more attention to, you do pay more attention to because you have to double check more, or depending on how you feel like. Another idea that's kind of similar on the same lines is an auto budget idea. This will be an idea for a device that if you have to, it tells you how much money you've spent in regular alerts and tells you if you spent over for every single day or stuff like that. And this keeps track more of your spending. Now these alerts might be gathered up in one app. So it is kind of confidential information, but it doesn't, what we can do to make it so that it is less easy for people to track you is these alerts can be sent, can be made so it doesn't tell you where you spent it or what bank account. It doesn't give you full bank account information, it just tells you more bits of piece of how much you spent. It can be a one-way thing where you can't reply back. If you want to reply back, you have to log in. So most people can see how much you spent. It can be sent to a secure app that's separate. It could be an app that deletes your data after a certain amount of while. And there isn't, so it doesn't keep track of your data as much. And we can add some other features to make it a little bit more safe and different privacy and notification setting. Another one is that, and this is more of a policy one, is that we can put the same fees for the super wealthy and super non-wealthy on banks to make them more accessible, because wealthy people oftentimes get deals when they do big bulk purchases or open up bigger accounts. But this means that the deals are not as good for poor people that need it more and hurts them investing or people with accessibility issues. Or we can do the reverse and make a progressive way that wealthier people, bigger transactions actually cost more money for them. There are arguments against that because sometimes poor people do need to make big transactions, so then they might be more negatively affected by that. Well, we could just have a general wealth tax and just tax them at a higher rate. Investment tax, which is more of the government control, which again is policy, compared to the last one, which is more technology, even though we could try making the government require it. Another thing that could be hugely beneficial is just to have in general simplified fees. And by simplified fees and how they would help is that you're less likely to get tricked and overpay or forget something, and it becomes less overwhelming, life in general, especially if you're disabled, something like that. Unfortunately, banks do not want to do this because it most affects so they can earn more money from poor people and stuff like that. And the wealthy doesn't want to do this, and the wealthy can just hire a tax person or someone else, a money manager, to do this for them, and that also creates a job for them. If we get rid of these things and make everything simple, like I talked about, it actually would be less jobs in money management, but you might be boo-hoo-hoo, but they can do other stuff, because there's always room for other people to do other stuff, whether it's managing other parts of people's aspects of life, helping people find the right insurance, just offering customer service, or they can train in a totally different thing, or do something totally different. Many jobs we can get rid of so people can do more useful things, or just relax and stay at home, or take care of themselves better, or take care of other people better. But we have to support that in society. An idea I've talked about previously is what I'm going to call post office banks. And the idea here is that we have banks that are also post offices. If you combine services, maybe also have it be a library or something. Doing it is simpler, and people more likely to do banking and stuff there because they also go in post office, and vice versa. And this might be helping people that need more in-person interaction for whatever accessibility or disability reason they have. And also remember that some people in the US do not actually have internet all around the world still. So this could help those people. Another one is that banks take some of your money and they earn some of it back with interest. They give you some interest in your regular bank accounts. There's different levels of ways. One is through loans that are very safe and stable. Then you have stock investments that the bank actually does on their own. Then you have personal loans they give out, and that can be more risky and something, but can give more, but they can give interest. And all these different levels of interaction, the bank invests on their own. Well, maybe you can tell the bank you're willing to give up some security in your interest rate for a potentially higher interest rate for some money in just that, and tell them what they can use your money for. In return, the bank might like this because they can invest more money, but you get potentially more money, but you might also lose more, or might lose more money or have it less safe. Now, if you have an FDIC banked account, there's a maximum amount of money you can lose, and some of your money will always be insured. And we can do it, make some laws that they always have to insure some of your money so they can't just go completely wild. There is always the chance they really will abuse the system, so this would have to be a system with a lot of regulations put in place if they do it. Another idea I have is to have credit cards on a certain payment schedule. An idea behind this would be that you can pay the credit card every month, every week, every 6 months, and there'll be ways of changing it and other things, and you get to choose it for yourself so it can fit your paycheck schedule a little better and less likely to accumulate debt. And maybe if you have a certain type of payday or something, if it fits your payday schedule, maybe you all reminded, oh, this is my payday, so I should also pay my money out today, or it all lines up so it's easy to remember and less likely to get lost. Another way would be to call up the bank and with proof or something, records, say, hey, I'm caught a paycheck coming in not this week but next week due to some job change and stuff. Can you withhold some of my bills? And make it so the bank will actually do that without charging interest to some extent. And if they do that, hooray, you are safe to some extent. And that could stop a lot of people from going debt. Another one is that we could try to make the voice notifications to be either voicemail or text. And there's a huge benefit of it being either voicemail or text. And by that means is that some people have trouble reading, but some people hear voices better. And we can make it so that we can send both and you get to choose it. Or we can have other notification options so users can have better track. Another idea is to make sure that there's clear language and it has to be words about the wording so people more easily understand the stuff. And words that everything has to have clear texts besides the complicated fancy texts so people understand what's going on more. Well, these are just some quick thoughts. I've written also made some more videos about this subject that I'll link below. Please like and subscribe, it really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year for 1,000 watch hours, which is really hard, but with your help I think I can do it. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.